Buying the wrong new car is a hell of an expensive mistake. Here's how to get it right. In most markets in the developed world, there's an overload of new car choice. Here in Australia, there are, let's call it 300 vehicles from 60 brands. And each one of those brands can give you several dozen reasons, typically bullshit ones, why each of their vehicles is the best. It's so easy just to stall on the grid and be confounded by choice, especially if you're in that typical mainstream car buyer category. A person who doesn't really think about new cars that much unless you're actually in the market to buy one. I'm John Cadogan, the founder of AutoExpert.com.au, the place where Australian new car buyers save thousands on their next new cars, and I see this stalling on the grid a lot because new cars are hard to buy. If you need a new TV or a new refrigerator, you can go to a retailer and simply see the competitors side by side. If you get a good sales consultant, they can give you some insight on which brand has the best deal right now and which brands see the fewest returns and warranty claims. You cannot do this with cars. There are about 30 different Toyota Corolla-sized cars available right now, and you just cannot see them side by side. It's a disgracefully Dickensian anti-consumer arrangement. A car dealer wants you to buy his brand. He doesn't really care if you buy a Yaris, a Corolla, a Camry, a Hilux, or a Land Cruiser. He doesn't really care which of those is right for you. But he sure as shit doesn't want you walking out the door so that you can see if there's a better option from Mazda, Hyundai, or Kia. So that's tip number one. Never ask a car dealer for advice. You won't get it. All you will get is propaganda. Buying a car is a risk management exercise, at least in part. One of the biggest risks, a dirty little car industry secret, is that too many companies offer completely inadequate customer support. Some brands are just too small to offer decent support. Some of the bigger brands simply have an ethically bankrupt consumer support culture. They love you right up until you actually buy the car, and then you're just another asshole who owns one. And some brands are simply not reliable enough. Some tick all three of these boxes. Poorly supported, unreliable shitboxes built on a foundation of ethical bankruptcy. And who doesn't want one of those? If you want to slash the risk of being in car ownership hell, the car's got a problem, they're not helping, they're unable or unwilling to fix it, there's a 3-month wait for the parts, they're breaching their obligations under Australian consumer law, whatever. My strong advice to you is do not buy a Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Alfa Romeo, Fiat, Citroën, Peugeot, Mini, Volvo or Land Rover. These really are cars for enthusiasts only. For anyone in the mainstream, the Russian roulette factor is way too high. But wait, there's more. There would want to be a really good reason to purchase a Holden or a Ford. These brands are both struggling for and failing to find relevance into 2017 and beyond. And the customer support is just total crap. Volkswagen is mainstream too, but terribly unreliable, and it has one of the worst customer service track records in the country. That's a real pity because they're beautiful cars that drive really well until they betray you. And anyway, the last thing you would want is to live in Ford, Holden or Volkswagen hell. I get the emails from people who do reside there and they really don't seem to be having that much fun. This is all about you and the way you are going to use that vehicle. Do you need a car or an SUV? 5 seats or 7? Hatchback or sedan? Petrol or diesel? Do you want to go off-roading or do you need to tow a really heavy boat, caravan or trailer? Do you really need that SUV? These questions matter. It costs 5 to 10 grand to go from a car like a Hyundai i30 to an SUV like a Hyundai Tucson with approximately the same equipment levels. And for a lot of people, this is a default presumption, it's a given. As soon as they spit out a kid, they want an SUV. The fact is, these i30 sized cars like the Corolla, Cerato and Mazda 3 accommodate a family of 4 no problem. You get a little bit more space with a medium SUV like a Tucson, but most of that is in the vertical, the least useful dimension for accommodating people and their gear. This is just like stepping from 5 seats to 7 in SUV land. It's a huge hike in cash. Do you really need those extra 2 seats because they're going to cost you $5,000 each? Pretty redundant spend if you're only going to use them 3 or 4 times a year. If you're going to use those 7 seats often, fair enough. Just do me a favour here, okay? Test drive a people mover. The best one is the Kia Carnival. And I know there's the sniff of discount vasectomy about people movers, but unfortunately back here in the objective world, people movers are better than SUVs at actually moving people. The other thing potential buyers often don't consider with SUVs is the difference between a hardcore off-roader and a softer SUV wagon. If you need a low-range gear set for extreme off-roading capability, fine. If you need to tow more than 2 tonnes, okay. A hardcore wagon like a Pajero Sport and its competitors will do that. But if you don't need that hardcore capability, there's a major trade-off in refinement and equipment. These hardcore vehicles are simply second-rate for just driving around the suburbs or up the freeway, so don't buy one unless you really need that heavy-duty capability. The car has to fit your life. If you need to fit 2 golf bags in the back or 3 child seats across the second row, or make regular trips interstate or load up regularly at Bunnings or park in tight inner city spots, now is absolutely the time to consider all of that. Cars are not bespoke, but your needs are. Consider carefully the totality of how you need to use the vehicle and what is it about that applied usage that affects the choices you make. And of course, you need to confirm the type of vehicle you've selected actually conforms to your spending limit. Here's a quick checklist on features. 5-star safety is not negotiable. Most cars have that today, but some don't, and sometimes it's a complete surprise, like on the Range Rover Evoque, which is a 4-star safety disgrace. You are much more likely to die or be seriously injured in a crash if you're sitting in a 4-star vehicle. A reversing camera is also an excellent safety consideration. Driveway runovers are the second most common cause of accidental death in children after drowning in the backyard swimming pool. Bluetooth for phone and music, GPS, maybe Apple CarPlay and or Android Auto, 12-volt outlets for recharging digital devices, cruise control, perhaps a proximity key, which just stays in your pocket or handbag the whole time. They're all pretty good ideas. Bear in mind that the entry-level variant, that is, the cheapest one in any model range, is typically a nasty little stripped-out shitbox designed mainly to appeal to fleet buyers like rental car companies. It's had everything that can be removed in order to slash the price. Most private buyers like you would do well to eliminate that one and take at least one step further up into the range. Check the spare tyre. Many new cars have those hateful space saver spares. They're hateful because they are limited to 80 k's an hour and they don't grip the road very well. Not a particularly big deal if all you do is drive to the shops and back, but hateful on the freeway at night in the rain. Unsafe when used like that too. Some cars don't even have spare tyres anymore. Some new cars are still locked into 6 monthly servicing intervals, where others, like Hyundai, Kia and Mazda, have upgraded to 12 monthly servicing. Longer service intervals means 1 day of eliminated logistical nightmare hassle every year, getting the bus to work and back or whatever, as well as typically around half the service cost. Warranties vary widely across the industry as well. Kia offers 7 years, while Hyundai and Mitsubishi have 5, and Lexus with 4 years beats Audi, BMW and Mercedes-Benz on 3. Most other car makers are stuck at 3 years. When you get to this point, you'll know if you want a car or an SUV, 5 seats, 7, a hatch, a wagon, whatever. I'm a huge fan of criteria-based vehicle selection. These things are machines, right? Car makers want you to form an emotional bond with their product. They want you to want it at all costs. But this is a fundamentally bad way to choose a car. I just want to make a quick point here about European and luxury brands too, because they're hugely aspirational and plenty of mainstream misconceptions exist about them. The simple fact is, there's a significant gap between perception and reality. European brands generally are less reliable and less well built than Japanese or South Korean cars. That's just a fact. And as for the luxury brands, the Audis, BMWs and Mercedes-Benzes, these are objectively bad choices unless A, you have more than $100,000 to spend on a car, and B, the sky-high running costs and poor reliability are just trivialities to you. If, for example, you're considering the $40,000 Mercedes-Benz A-Class, the Gay 180, the Frederick John Inman of Mercedes-Benzes, my strong advice to you is buy the $40,000 Mazda 3 SP25 Estina instead. One truly is a premium car, and the other is the Gay 180. Just to summarise, eliminate the wrong brands. Select the right type of vehicle. Develop a shortlist containing vehicles with the features you need and most of the features you want. And trust me here, if you can't live without Apple CarPlay, don't vote. It's nice to have, I get that, but it's not the same as losing a leg if you don't get it. Critical analysis is the way to buy a new vehicle. You're getting hitched, it's a long-term proposition, you're not hooking up for the night on Tinder. If you need help developing a rational shortlist, ideal length, 3 vehicles, hit me up via the website. That's what I do. And don't stress about going head-to-head with an asshole car salesman. The new car buying process I've put in place means you save thousands without ever having to endure that. Not once. I hope this helps. I'm John Cadogan. Thanks for watching.